In this video, we'll teach you how to write the perfect rainforest test, preview, and run it. The quality of your test results is directly dependent on the quality of the tests you write, so learning how to write tests that are in line with our best practices is extremely important. First, let's demonstrate the mechanics of writing an actual test by looking at an example scenario. In this example, let's imagine that I'm Amazon and I'd like to test my sign up functionality. In order to do this, I'll need testers to fill out the name, email, and password fields, then click the Create Account button. Next, they'll need to retrieve a one-time password from their email, input it in the field, and then click the Verify button. Now, let's go through the process of writing the test in Rainforest. First, I name my test something simple. I also have the option to select a test priority. I can add this test to a feature group, but more on that later. Now, we're looking at a blank test here. The yellow bar at the top tells us this test is currently in draft mode, so it won't run until it's actually published. The first thing we'll want to do is set the starting URL that testers will navigate to begin the test. I already added Amazon.com as a site within the settings section, so it's an available option that I'll choose now. Now, I'll want to start writing out my test. Every Rainforest test is comprised of an action and a question. The action is what you want testers to do within your application, and then the question is a yes/no verification of expected behavior. Testers execute steps in sequential order. If they're able to answer yes to the verification question, they continue on to the next step. If they're not able to answer yes to the question, then they fail the test and their testing session ends there. There's no continue past fail option. Now that we've covered the basics, let's write our first step. First, a best practice. Test steps that are clear and concise make for the best tests. Testers are trained to interpret instructions literally and exactly, so we'll need to be very explicit. Another best practice is to use our Rainforest step variables to inject dynamic data into your test steps. We have a number of other variable types, including the option for you to create your own. For more information about the different variables available for testing, check out our Help Center or the Variables page within our Settings section. Now I'm just about done with my test step, and it's time for another best practice called the quotes rule. Quotes are trained to treat quotes in a special way. They must copy check what's in quotes for exact spelling, spacing, and capitalization. If the text in quotes does not exactly match the text in your application, testers are trained to fail the test step. If you don't want that same level of precision to be applied, then don't use quotes in your test steps. Moving on to the second step, remember that in this step, we need testers to retrieve a one-time password from their email. We'll use another one of our random built-in variables called random inbox. This variable appears to testers as a URL that they need to copy and paste into a new browser tab. The new URL will bring them into an inbox associated with the random email variable that we used in the first step. Notice that in my test step, I'm being very clear and explicit in what I need testers to do. Another best practice is to use screenshots in your test steps to point testers to specific elements on the page. I really don't need a screenshot here, but I'll add one anyway just to show you how to do it. It's as simple as dragging and dropping the screenshot into the test steps. Now I'm going to show you another cool feature called Click to Copy. Highlighting over text that you want testers to copy and paste, and then clicking the Click to Copy button will allow them to copy the text to their clipboard with a single click. I'm going to go through my test steps now and convert the text to Click to Copy. Now I've finished writing my test. You can see that the actions are simple and that the questions contain only a single question. We recommend keeping tests short to under 15 steps and to use them like building blocks. You can embed tests within one another to put your building blocks together. This allows for easier test creation and maintenance. If you need to edit an embedded test, simply click the Go to Test button to edit the test directly. Any updates you make will dynamically update across all tests that contain it. The next best practice is to preview our test, which allows us to execute it against a single browser as if we were a tester. We can see the test steps at the top of the page. The random variables we used in the test steps have assigned us a unique name, email, and password. Because we're able to answer yes to the question, we click the Yes button, which will bring us to the next test step. Now we copy and paste the random inbox URL into a new browser window and retrieve the one-time password. And it's a success. We're able to complete our test. We can now choose to run the test as a draft, which will run it with only a single tester, or we can publish the test and integrate it into our test suite. We can also add whatever tags we'd like to this test, and add internal notes. Testers won't see internal notes, they're for your team only. Finally, we're ready to run our test. We have the option to change the run name, which is what will display to you in the results page, or enter a release ID to tie this run back to a release. You then select the environment you'd like to test on, the platforms you'd like to test against, and then kick off your run.